Hey guys, it's Ted and Russ and my Up Live family who are watching us, and we're going to try to get them more in the shot. We're here today on the Personalized Medicine, What Your Doctor Won't Tell You show with my friend Russ Scala with ScalaPrecisionHealth.com. I've only had 2 cups of coffee, and they were real coffee. I need 3. So we've got a lot going on. Let us know you can hear us, Josh, because I think you can, and I want to make sure the volume is up. All right, there we go. Maybe that's better. Hopefully you can hear us. So I'm with Russ today. We've got a lot to talk about. You posted a lot of videos.
Exactly.
You posted a lot of articles. So I'm super excited about that. I want to talk about it. We had questions about diet, which we talk about pretty much every week. Is there something new? Depression, which was in the news a lot because it talked about how it's in your DNA, which we can talk about. Hormones, which you talk a lot about, but there are some amazing studies that are coming out, I think,
right, exactly.
that are challenging everything that has to do with what the AMA has established or American Heart Association has established. So welcome, my friend.
Welcome.
And welcome to our Up Live people. And welcome to everybody who's watching here. All right, so give us an idea of what's going on in the diet world first, because that's always the big question. All of us we can't figure out if we should be doing the Mediterranean diet. That's the new one that came out. Mediterranean diet is the best. That's the one that's going to save you. And Mediterranean diet differs from keto. How?
Okay, well, first of all, folks, understand.
So confusing.
Understand this. Everybody's biochemically unique. Okay, so if we could eat the way our great-great-great-great-grandparents ate, we'd probably be better off. There is no one diet for everybody. So what we do with our clients is we have them keep a food log and we do lab work. We find out where your deficiencies are. Some people can tolerate carbohydrates, some people can't. So people that were born close to the equator, they have a tendency to be susceptible to diabetes. So they need to cut the simple carbs out of their diet. So again, folks, everybody's biochemically unique. These are the 3 hot topics: intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating, and the ketogenic diet. Those are the popular diets. And remember what I said last week, how do we take control of diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and obesity? We keep insulin levels down because those are really all one disease, but traditional medicine compartmentalizes those diseases and has one medication for that.
I know, it's not a one-size-fits-all.
No, it's not.
Right?
No, this is why personalized medicine is so important. This is why I want you to ask your doctor the tough questions. For instance, when people go on cholesterol-lowering drugs, cholesterol, that good fat, makes up all the hormones in our body. So a lot of people that go on a statin drug to protect their heart, that's old school. That's all being turned around in real time with cardiologists in different parts of the world right now. They're saying, let's tell the people we got it wrong, that fat is good. Now we just need the American Cardiovascular Association to get on board with
Why are they so slow? Is it because they have lobbyists that are...
Yeah, I think, the pharmaceutical companies are the lobbyists. And if you think about it, folks, always follow the biology. Cholesterol surrounds every lipid bilayer of every cell in our body. We need cholesterol to make all our hormone levels. If cholesterol is too low, it opens us up for Alzheimer's disease. Our brain is made up of really good fats, 15%. So as long as I want to educate you to follow the biology. Physicians with 4,000 hours of training, folks,
Sorry, brother.
Physicians with 4,000 hours of training don't have any training in nutrition. And I'm not shooting down physicians. Many of my best friends are physicians, but they're not trained in nutrition or diet. That's why on the Russ Scala YouTube channel, I've got all these videos that you could take a deep dive in and to protect you and your family.
And they're because we all have the attention span of a gnat. I joke about it. So they're shorter videos, but they get right to the point. Eileen Winfrey, what's up? How you doing? What diet for the summer and to give you energy? All right, so we're talking about biochemically unique. That's the thought process. I got to figure out where the camera is here. You look good, and I'm looking like I'm looking all around. Yeah. But I think people do that. Everything, inflammation. I'll ask about that, John, in a minute. John, howdy, Shell. I think people are like, hey, it's summer. What diet do I use because there's they think it's a one size fits all. They think it's keto. They think it's Mediterranean. They think it's the cabbage soup diet. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, yes. So I would say, and Eileen is naturally thin, So I don't know why you want to lose any weight, Eileen, but let's say that you do. What is something that people can cut out? Is there anything overall that somebody should cut out of their diet?
Well, I mean, folks, just think about it. If there's an imbalance of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, as an example, it's going to create the inflammation response in the body. We know sugar creates inflammation. And again, I'm not the food Nazi. I try to plug in things that work for people. For instance, beer is the liquid bread that causes inflammation and damages the intestinal tract.
It hurts my stomach. I used to be able to drink it when I was in college.
Okay, cool.
I can't do it anymore.
Well, that's a great example. So now I move people over to vodka. Let's take a page out of the drink.
Oh, that's why I love you, Russ.
No, I'm saying. So let's take a page out of the drinking man's diet. In the 1950s, during the Mad Men era, there's a lot of people that went on the ketogenic diet and they were able to drink harder liquor and still drop the pounds. So that's workable.
I like that. So because vodka, even though alcohol is alcohol, which we could do a whole show on,
right?
How the system kind of brings it in. But if you look at vodka, it doesn't have the sugars or the carbs, allegedly. And so it doesn't spike like a champagne might or a wine or a sweet drink. Because remember, when you add all of this stuff to it, if you're just drinking vodka on the rocks, that's different than vodka cranberry, vodka anything, because all the juice has sugar in it.
Well, I know a lot of my clients have to socialize and they have to drink, and I totally get that. Remember, folks, that alcohol can elevate estrogen levels in men and women. So what we want to do is, we could block that estrogen with certain nutrients, and that's cool. But if you're overweight and you're drinking the sweet drinks and you're trying to lose weight, there's a way to do it. So we want to educate yourself. If you're a person that has to socialize, there's a way to do it and still lose weight.
So Eileen, you're not old, so you got to give her something. She's been on the cabbage soup diet. It's terrible. It's the worst.
Yeah.
Kim Meredith Hampton. Hey, Kim. She has MS.
Okay.
And she has been such a proponent out in the world about it, and she raises money. What kind of diet or what's good?
Okay, Kim, this is really good because we're going to talk about autoimmune diseases. I work with a retired police officer named Pete Corelli. On the Russ Scala YouTube channel, I designed a treatment protocol for MS. Now, we know that MS, the covering of our nerves, has something like a plastic wire, has plastic over it. Well, that's the myelin sheath. We know when that gets damaged, that's a form of MS. Well, what we did is we rebalanced Pete's intestinal tract, which is the second brain. We looked at him on a cellular level, checking his mitochondria. We connected all his hormonal levels. We corrected the deficiencies, and we plugged in a specific MS protocol that was customized to only Pete, and he's on the Russ Scala YouTube channel under MS protocol. So every MS patient, there are some sweeping generalizations, but we take a deep dive and do advanced testing in order to put the brakes on MS, and that's one of the autoimmune protocols that I'm really excited about moving forward because, yeah, I know, right? I mean, it's cool. I mean, yeah, we can put the brakes on this stuff, and I've got about 3 or 4 doctors that are trained to do this, so I'm really excited. This is teamwork, folks. I don't have all the answers, but collectively we could really come up with some really neat things. So
John Wild, you can stay on the potato diet. I'm not sure that that's a bad thing. It depends on you. You're biochemically unique.
I like that. You're killing that.
I'm working on it. And John Howdy Shell, you watch the Gilmore Girls anyway, so it has nothing to do with your diet or what you're trying to accomplish. No doubt in my mind there. But he asked about inflammation,
right,
which you talk about a lot. So
yeah,
let's talk about the inflammation, which is because the gut's the second brain. Talk about the inflammation because people hear all about it and then they want to go to GNC or Walgreens or wherever, and then they want to order the pill that says all your inflammation is going to be gone if you take this.
Okay, the blood work you could order from your doctor is C-reactive protein. Remember that inflammation, again, is multifactorial. It could come from food, an imbalance of omega-3 and omega-6. It could come from the toxins in the environment. Maybe you're susceptible to the pesticides or herbicides around your house. A lot of doctors don't think about how the environmental toxins impact our body. Well, think about this. The toxins in the environment elevate our estrogen levels, which in turn cause inflammation. Estrogen causes cell proliferation. Elevated insulin, if you're heavy, causes cell growth. those two things combined are a perfect storm for cancer. Does that make sense?
Oh, sure.
So
no, I didn't think about that.
So again, inflammation in Time Magazine was, I think it was 10 years ago, Time Magazine came out, and inflammation is more responsible for heart disease and damaging the endothelial lining, the lining of the arteries. Inflammation does more damage than high cholesterol. And cholesterol, again, with the heart is not even the issue. It's inflammation. It's high homocysteine levels. Ask your doctor about lipid subfraction testing. If you think cholesterol is a big beach ball, there's little hard marbles that are produced. That's called a lipid subfraction. You can ask your doctor for advanced lipid subfraction testing, and he will run that through insurance for you. I partnered with a company way back called Athrotech that developed one of the first lipid subfraction testing called the VAP test, the vertical auto profile. This will really tell us if our arteries are being blocked.
So can you ask your doctor for, and I'll get your questions, Ron and John. Give me just a second. Ron, John, I'm having a morning. You can actually ask your doctor for that specific test?
Yeah, the VAP test or the VAP test or the NMR, or ask your doctor for the Boston Heart lipid subfractions test.
Is this all on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's I explain all the reasons why the arteries get blocked, because I've been studying heart disease and heart attacks since I was a paramedic in the early 80s, folks. I was always fascinated with, what, and then when I started seeing my triathlete buddies having heart attacks and stents, I was like, oh my God, it's the exercise that's causing the arteries to become blocked.
That's been my thought process forever. Don't exercise. It's bad for you.
Long distance stuff can be, I know.
All right. So Ron Wilkerson wants to know, what about mood and energy? And I assume that is tied back to estrogen, or John or Ron, you put it out there. Is it estrogen? Is it your question about, while you're typing that, John Howdyshell wants to know, can fatigue be caused by inflammation?
Yes, it can. Yeah, it's all good. Listen, folks, I don't want to keep repeating this, but we're all biochemically unique. So I have people keep a food mood log. So you can track your food. Some people have little sensitivities. We do a food sensitivity test that can tell what foods react in your body, and this could cause a low-level inflammation. As for your mood, if you have too many carbohydrates in a meal and your blood sugar drops, it could impact your brain chemistry. So, the ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting, you could drill down on this, because these things really elevate your mood. Okay, folks, I've always had interrupted sleep patterns, insomnia, since I was a paramedic on the SWAT team. When I started doing intermittent fasting, I slept like a baby for the first time, I swear, like 30 years. And then a lot of my clients wanted to try the intermittent fasting, and there's a way to do it that it's not overwhelming, because I don't want to overwhelm anybody. I'm training coaches right now, folks, to work with our clients and our patients to hold their hand through this. So this will be exciting.
All right. So Ron, he wants to know inflammation, I'm assuming. How do you increase your mood? Actually, this is just a generic question, I think.
Okay.
How do you increase your mood, more energy? Can that be tied to your food, your inflammation, your gut?
Is that Ron?
That's Ron.
Okay, Ron. On a very high level, I test brain neurotransmitter levels with the outliers. I do a urine sample. I look at serotonin, dopamine, and adrenaline, and I look at the intestinal flora. We actually do a stool sample. I know that's gross, but it tells us what's going on in the intestinal tract.
It's a crappy topic for the morning, Russ.
Exactly. Okay. So your intestinal tract is considered the second brain. If your intestinal tract is out of balance, it will affect your brain chemistry and your mood. So without getting too crazy, remember that your mood, it's multifactorial. We want to look at the gut. We want to think about the gut-brain connection. That's on the Russ Scala YouTube channel. We don't just want to swallow an antidepressant. I'm not saying they're bad, but the mood is multifactorial. It could come from a lot of areas. People that are going through a divorce or a traumatic time, or people that I know that have lost a child, God forbid, or a family member. Well, their mood's going to be in the toilet.
Sure.
Yeah, and they're going to get through this. We don't need to medicate them, or if we medicate them, that could just be a bridge. Because another thing that happens, folks, is when you're under stress and you elevate cortisol levels, cortisol suppresses all your feel-good chemicals in your brain. Postpartum depression, war vets, EMS personnel, myself. I worked 96-hour shifts on South Orange Blossom Trail. When I used to get off work, I didn't want to be with anybody. I didn't want to see anybody, and I dealt with depression. But in my 20s, I thought I was bulletproof. I didn't know what it was doing to me physiologically. That's why Ted and I are going to talk about corporate the corporate war zone and to people.
The corporate war zone. All right,
Yeah.
we have questions. So John Howdyshell is the reverse question. He wants to know, can fatigue contribute to inflammation?
Yeah, fatigue can, because remember that fatigue, how am I going to say this? Your adrenal glands, your fight or flight glands, if they're suppressed, it's your adrenal glands that elevate your immunity. It's your natural adrenal glands that protect you from inflammation. So a lot of people that are elevating their stress hormone cortisol, it suppresses their thyroid, their testosterone levels, their growth hormone levels, and in women, progesterone. Now, progesterone in women bind to the same receptor sites as Prozac and Xanax. So a lot of women that have low progesterone, they end up being put on antidepressants when nobody checks their progesterone levels. So and again, it's on the Russ Scala YouTube channel. I've always interviewed and documented patients that have come through our program because everybody thinks we're crazy. I'm just saying.
Well, that's because you're ahead of the curve. It's cutting edge. What you've been saying for years, the industry, the group, the community is finally catching up, and beginning to stop denying what they've also probably known for years too, which really ticks me off. All right, Kim Meredith Hampton, it is scalaprecisionhealth.com, and I will post it at the end, and I'll have Russ private message you. And then Ron Wilkerson, amazing for you, 8 months out of quintuple bypass. That's
okay.
amazing.
Is that Ron?
Yeah, that's
okay. Hey, Ron, I developed the restenosis program. I love that you're saying this, but here's the thing. I've worked with a lot of bypass patients, and what we try to do is prevent restenosis. How do we keep those arteries open? I've met with hundreds of cardiologists and try to put this program through, their practice. So on my YouTube channel, on Russ Scala YouTube channel, I've got marathon runners and triathletes that have had heart attacks. I got blood work you could order through your physician that we could help keep your, I just had a bypass patient that's been with me 5 years. He just had his heart imaged again. His arteries are wide open.
Wow.
So what we're trying to do, a lot of bypass patients, those arteries around the heart close up again. That's called restenosis. I developed the restenosis protocol to keep the arteries open. So you could PM me and I could shoot you the blood work, brother.
That's awesome. All right, so we also want to talk about depression, right? Before I announce our day and time for next week. Depression, because that is, there was a study that came out, you posted it on your website or on your Facebook page, about depression having some sort of tie to DNA.
Right.
And it also not being a one-size-fits-all as far as pills go. The thing that amazes me about depression medicine or anxiety medicine is that you take it, and now there are like 5 ancillary drugs that you take because the first one's not working. So they have the commercials that say, well, if your original drug isn't working, keep taking that, but let's add another one to it because the first one's not working. So how does that all, I'm amazed at those, because you're already paying for it, you're already feeling bad, and then you feel worse because your drug isn't working. So let's create a new one so that your first drug works. And if that doesn't work, well, God, I don't know what's going to happen. They're probably going to create a tertiary one.
Right. So, folks, let's do this in our heads, or write it down, or I'm going to say this, and you could do it right after this show's over with. You draw you in the center. Let's you be the center of the wheel. That's you. And off, make a wheel for nutrition, make a wheel for hormones, make a wheel for the intestinal tract, make a wheel for your current situation, and make a wheel for your peer group. All of those things impact depression, impact our mood. The psychiatric community gives us labels like depression and bipolar disorder, and it's followed by a drug. All right, you may need something to get you through the rough time, but in reality, your thyroid controls your mood. Your intestinal tract has neurotransmitters. Low testosterone in men can affect their behavior. Low progesterone in women can affect their behavior. I just said progesterone binds to the same receptor sites as Prozac and Xanax in women. For men with low testosterone, testosterone is needed to make dopamine levels, our feel-good chemicals. So when you say somebody is depressed or somebody's going through depression, remember, folks, it's multifactorial. Ask your doctor to do the lab work. A lot of doctors just treat the lab work and they say, oh, you're within range, and then they don't treat the patient. So you've got to stick to your guns, ask the tough questions, think about your intestinal tract being the second brain if you're going through a rough time. Your gut may be out of balance, okay? And then if you're going through a divorce, if you lost somebody in your family, you lost your job, depression is expected. Surround yourself with good people. Don't hang out with the energy vampires when you're taking the hits in the chest.
Amen to that. We talk about that a lot, and I think people don't realize it. I mean, I just want to drum it into everybody's head. If you're surrounding yourself with people who are negative and not supportive of you, it has a tremendous impact on your psyche, on your health, on everything that's going on in your life. And it's scientific, right?
Yeah, it's called psychoneuroimmunology. It's called social neurobiology. Basically, you know, if you hang out with assholes, they're going to make you sick. I'm just saying, right?
I like that. No, it's true, because you can tell when somebody, if I'm in a group of people and I can see who somebody's hanging out with, and that person either has their head down or it looks like they
exactly.
don't, you can tell that means something's going on in the group. Right. And then if you add that to the fact that you're already not feeling yourself, there's something there, guys. Don't get out of that. And we talk about it a lot on Freedom Fridays. I've talked about it a lot on the show. Get out of that relationship. I know it can be difficult, especially let's say it's a family member. Well, I know you can't divorce your family member. I mean, I did, but you don't have to. But let's say you want to get out. Hold on, I'm popular today. I don't know what's happening. Let's say you want to get out of that relationship. Just minimize the amount of time you spend there or go into it. Let's say it's a family member, because people will message me and go, Ted, I don't know how to not be around my sister, mother, father, who's always negative.
Yeah, limit your time.
Limit your time. Yeah. And then go into it knowing that they're going to be negative towards you. So in that time, put on your force field, your shield, whatever you have to do during that time, and realize that that is on them, not on you. You can limit it.
Right. And folks, some people get dealt a bad genetic hand. There's something called the DRD4 gene. Some people have a low DRD4 gene and they don't elevate dopamine levels, so they look for alcohol or opiates, or they gravitate towards very exciting things. I have a low DRD4 gene, so obviously I'm involved in being a paramedic, responding to emergency calls, going in SWAT team in my early 20s. I can't sit still. I can't deal with dead air, and it took me years to get all this under control. I'm by no means perfect. I just been beat up a lot. I've been in front of thousands of patients, and I sort of see things before somebody that's just compartmentalizing one area.
Which is, I think, and John brings it up, true, plus certain professions are not allowed to acknowledge or treat depression.
Right, exactly.
So how difficult is that when you are feeling it, but you can't talk about it? You can't probably, John, and I'm guessing, you don't want to go to a doctor to have it treated, because as much as you would love to think that's all confidential, you still have to answer questionnaires. You have to answer anything when you're going through employment. So you have to keep it secret. Well, why would we keep it secret? It shouldn't be that way, I guess.
No, just having that label. I mean, depression, or having a label of bipolar. I don't believe in labels. I believe, again, we're all biochemically unique. I really think high functioning people, and I know a lot of them, and I've worked with a lot of them, when they're up here, they're doing amazing things. Then when they come down here, when they need to decompress, all the family members and friends go, "What's wrong? You're so quiet. Is there something I said?"
No. That is so true.
In order for me to be up here doing what I do, whether I'm singing in a band or I'm a rock star or I'm working very high level doing white hat code writing, I need to come down. And folks, I used to just go to a movie theater. I didn't want to talk to anybody because everybody goes, "Russ, what's wrong? You're not smiling." I'm like, "Well, I just worked a 48-hour shift on South Orange Blossom Trail. You guys want me to
They want you to be up.
Anyway,
they want you to be up. They want you to be happy."
So I understand, and I really believe that high-functioning people, because they're so high-functioning and they do amazing stuff with their brain, they're thinkers, they're innovators, those are the people that could crash because nobody gets it around them. You know, nobody understands it.
Well, they don't. So, like, people say, "You're always happy, Ted." Well, I am, but I do allow myself downtime.
Right, exactly.
But I'm super specific about it, because if I'm ever downtime and I happen to be, let's say, at the club,
right,
and I'm in that mode of, okay, I'm decompressing, I'm listening to music, I'm just working on stuff that is low functioning.
Right.
People will say, "You don't seem happy today."
No, like, there you go. That's it.
I'm like, okay, I'm totally happy, but I need to decompress a little bit.
And that's why people that are high functioning, like myself and a lot of, we want to be alone, because I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to not talk to somebody, or if I do talk to somebody and a lot's going on in my head, I drift off and they go, "You're not paying attention to me."
Correct.
What did I just say to you?
Well, I sit with my back. You guys who know me, I have a table that I love in the corner. And if I'm sitting with my back to the room, I'm in decompress
There you
mode.
go. There you go.
So I've actually had to put something on on like a sign when you walk up that I'm in them. I tell people I'm on a webinar. I'll tell you whatever you need to hear, but I need that decompression time.
Exactly.
And I'm not ready to be on at that moment. I only need a little bit. Like, I don't need a lot to recharge. Personally, I don't feel like I do.
Well, you're elevating by you recharging and taking the time for yourself and being selfish. Like I said, I used to go to a movie theater. It was dark. It was air conditioned.
I like that.
I didn't. That just worked for me. Now, of course, when I was a paramedic on the SWAT team, I was drinking too much, and that was the carbohydrates are medicating my brain anyway.
Sure.
So I had to cycle out of that. But I understand high functioning people. Whether, and most of them are artists. They don't have anywhere to turn.
It's a lot of creative.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I think people in general, they feel what society, I feel like, does, especially with all the commercials, the anxiety commercials, the ADHD commercials, the depression commercials. You talked about labels, bipolar commercials. Right. We just might be having a bad day.
Exactly.
Or we could be having a bad week, or somebody died, or a friend ticked us off, or our job isn't going well. That doesn't mean you have to run out and get medicated, nor does it mean that you're going through it, aren't you, Ted? Don't buy me a Hallmark card. I'm golden. I appreciate the love and concern, but it just means that maybe I'm going through something. Exactly, it's not the end of the world. Right. I think a lot of people, because they create the drama, and this is, of course, nobody on here, but the people, they create this drama, and then people immediately want to respond to it. I'm not creating the drama, and a lot of people aren't. We're just having a bad day.
Well, I used this one line the other day, and I just said, listen, I was talking, and I don't have anything against vegans, but I had this vegan family that I talked to, and their child was 2 years old, and the child had developmental delay. So I'm trying to come at this from a bunch of different angles, why this has happened, and still I didn't make any sense, and they didn't get it. And I walk away going, God, I couldn't even crack that egg, and I'm supposed to be good at what I do. It was just a kick in the ass. So I basically said that, as a paramedic, I had on really bad accident scenes with, 6 to 7 victims. I used to have to walk by the people that were dying, literally, and go to the ones I could save. And you know what? It's for my health, it's the same thing today. It really is.
Right. Well, that's also PTSD, which I would love to spend a show on, because I work with so many veterans, and it doesn't have to be veterans. I think I've said it on the show before. Russ does too. I experience it from childhood stuff. Right. And so there are different levels of it, but I think that there's such a stigma on that people don't want to talk about it. So I'd love to bring it out in the open.
For sure.
Veterans, it's allowed, it's a normal thing, even though people don't understand it and support it like they should. But there are many of us who dealt with any kind of trauma. Gosh, Jenny Lee, who was on the show yesterday, My Deaf Life is her website, and she's writing a book. She has PTSD from being bullied and being kidnapped for 4 years. You should watch that show.
Wow.
So any parting words of wisdom for them? It went by fast. You guys were fantastic on the questions, and we want you to ask questions before too. I mean, you can do it while you're on there, but then Russ can be prepared. I mean, he already is prepared. I think it all comes from his head anyway. It's awesome. I wish I had that knowledge base. But it's really, we want to encourage you to ask questions, to reach out. Kim, I will have Russ reach out to you, but any parting words of wisdom for them before we head out?
Folks, I spend a lot of time on the Russ Scala YouTube channel. You can go there. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Look at all the videos, get educated, share this information with your family member. I've been in medicine 40 years, and still it drives me crazy that people are not getting information. So empower yourself with the knowledge to take care of you and your family members, okay? Absolutely. Love you too, John. Love you guys. We love you. We'll see you everybody next Tuesday. Appreciate you. I'm going to go out, sign off there last, but I'm going to sign off here. We'll see you at 1 o'clock with Kazanomics. You never know what that masked man is going to wear or talk about. Love you, Shirley. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.